Friends, fans, and fine folk, grab your drinks and snacks and come down to the campfire for this short rest. Me and my friend GeeOfDee! Beep, 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 beep.
Oh, that was a rough start. That was a really good intro voice.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I've had a lot of practice.
Later. Very good. Hello. Hi.
It's
me,
good to have you here.
Thank you. It is good to be here.
It is good to have you here, G. I always forget this until like half an hour into the talk, so I'm going to remember this time, and I'm going to do it right at the top. Who are you? And why? Like, I often just like jump into conversation because I know who the guest is. So I'm like, I end up like talking for like a good half hour about D&D and stuff, and then I'm like, wait a minute, who are you? For the people who don't know,
who are you again?
Why are you here?
Yeah, I am Gemma Driscoll. I'm a TV presenter, TTRPG, a one-shot streamer, regular streamer, doing all games that Jim to break my heart and characters that fill them. And on the side, I do some voice acting, do some script writing, do a little bit of everything. She's a little bit all over the place.
Bloody all over the place, mate. Just
mate,
pick a lane.
Mate, I simply have not had a chance to rest, have I? That's why I'm here today for a short rest. I get it.
That's why we're having a short rest. That's why I call it short rest, because most of the people I know are just never actually taking the time to rest. Not like me. I rest all the time.
Yeah, in fact, you contentify rest.
Contentify my rest. Yeah, downtime. I literally have a series called Downtime, where I force myself to just play video games or something. Cool, so it's good to have you here, Jim. When did we meet? I can't remember. It was a while back, and it was for some sort of... Well, I think we were both players on somebody else's one-shot or something, right?
I dare say it might have been a Jasper's?
Oh, yeah, it might have been involved in Jasper's Game Day or something.
I think it was... I could not tell you the year, honestly. I've blended everyone together into we've always known each other, and nothing's ever been different. You were there when I was born, you'll be there when I die. Yeah. Like, that's it.
I think you might be right. I think it would have been Jasper's, and it would have been, like, my first year of streaming, like 2020 or something. Somewhere like that. So we've been on each other's peripheral for a while, but I'm glad to finally have you on a short rest. Since it is a short rest, that implies that we're in the middle of some sort of a quest, and we need to rest. So, first thing I like to do is set up in game, in the fiction of the world. What are we in the middle of that we need to take a rest from?
Ooh, I feel like, given that I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate lately, almost replicating one of the missions I was just on, which was going through the Underdark.
Right.
And getting ambushed by this giant bloody, what was it? I know, burrowed into the ground and knocked everyone off their... Yeah.
Yeah, I went into the Underdark in Baldur's Gate, and like I was very short way into it. I got smashed by a bullet, and I was like, I barely survived the fight, and went, well, the Underdark's not for me then. I just turned around and went back, went back up.
Sorry guys, I gotta go. My bad.
And it was especially bad because like the Underdark section, you just like find yourself there. Like I was just kind of like following side bits and being like, let me just, before I move on, let me just check what's over here, and there's a thing, and then there's a trapdoor, I'll go down there, and then the trapdoor leads to another door, and I'm like, fuck no, I'm in the Underdark.
D&D.
I was in the middle of I was in the middle of something else. I didn't realise it would lead me here. Oh god, I gotta go back.
See, I stumbled into a mushroom circle and ended up in the Underdark.
Oh right.
through bloody Auntie Ethel's bloody cabin.
Oh,
I was like,
yes,
what does this button do? What do you think it does, idiot? It goes to the Underdark. And I'm wondering, I have no idea what's happening. Astarion seems stoked. Karlach's not into it. Shadowheart doesn't care. I'm terrified. Sick. Let's go.
I mean, I wouldn't know about Karlach's reaction because I murdered her the first time I saw her. Yeah, that's right, G. That's right. I murdered Karlach the first time I saw her because because I started playing Baldur's Gate and I wasn't enjoying it, and I was like, nah, it's not for me. I'm not enjoying this. And then I realized it's because I was playing it like a video game, and I'm not much of a video gamer. I'm more of a role player. I'm all about TTRPGs, and I was like, I'm gonna start it again and just treat it like a role play and just do what I would do as a character. And only what I would do as a character, and I'm not gonna like spend ages looting something if my character wouldn't do that. So then I started it, and I got all the way to the meeting of Karlach. But at that point, up to that point, every single person I talked to was talking about how dangerous she was and how she was a devil, and devils are really wily and they can talk to you. They can, if you give them a chance to talk to you, they'll trick you. And I'd met the paladins before I met Karlach, and they were talking about how she's a dangerous monster and blah blah blah. And then I'd talk to Will, and he was talking about how she's a dangerous monster and don't give a chance to charm you. And so I approached her. I was like, well, if I'm role playing this, I have to do. There's only one way I could do this, and so I just sneak attacked her from afar, and then started a fight, and she was dead within a round, and then I decapitated her, and I took her head to the paladins, and they gave me a magic sword.
I'm taking active psychic damage from this conversation already. 5 minutes into this, and I need to have a break. I'm having a break within the break.
I also dismissed Lae'zel immediately because she was being rude to me. She's trapped up in the cage, and she's like, I dismissed I managed to talk my way out of the tieflings and tell them to piss off, and I was like, don't worry, I'll deal with her. And then she goes, "'Bout time, get me down," and I was like, "Say please." And she goes, "Ah, fuck you," or something, and I was like, "No, then I'm not. You can stay up there." So I turn around and walk away, like intending to just be like, I'll let her stew for a bit, and then I'll come back. And as soon as you walk away, the little quest goes, "Lae'zel's quest finished," and I'm like, "What?" And then I looked in my quest book, and it's like, "You let Lae'zel die in the cage." I was like, "No, I didn't. It was an intimidation tactic. Fuck."
I was letting her stew.
I was letting her stew. So I quick loaded to the moment right before, and I walked back. I sort of walked back, and I was like, "All right, are you gonna say please yet?" And she still says, "Nah, fuck you." So I was like, "All right." So I let her down, and then I just dismissed her. I was like, "Nah, you're not joining my party, you rude bitch." And then I find her dead later.
Bob!
What?
Okay, that's the beauty of the game, Jen. That's the beauty of the game.
Different stories. You're allowed. It's different stories. I'll play it again. I'll play through again one time in the future and not kill Karlach.
I have written not 1, not 2, but 3 Game of the Year related articles with Baldur's Gate included, and everyone said it's about the beauty of choice. And here I am vibrating uncontrollably because the beauty of choice to do things I didn't like. I just have some thoughts, man.
Variety is the spice of life, I guess.
Until the spice displeases me.
Until I don't like the spice, and then it's not for my taste.
Until the spice makes me sneeze, and then it's out, and we're done, and I'm dabbing my nose like a lady.
She's not the only one either. Like there was.
Oh, come on, man!
I think there's like a paladin with the goblin camp that you can recruit. Like there's a lady paladin. There's like I can't remember her name because I didn't even know she was a playable character until I killed her.
Oh, Minthara?
I don't know. So, some sort of paladin that's with the goblins.
She's a drow?
Yeah, drow lady with the goblins.
Yeah, Minthara. Yeah. She's great. You can only recruit her at the moment, though, if you do side with the goblins.
Right,
which
yeah.
I
so
feel
I went
like
and I was like
Rob's
sneaking.
character might do.
No, because I wasn't. I'm not playing an evil guy. I was killing a devil. All of the NPCs and but I know that, but my character doesn't know that because all I had encountered up to that point was talking about how she's a devil and she fights on the front lines in Avernus, and I'd met with some paladins that I trusted who, independently of one another, like in separate rooms, gave me the same story, which means that I'm corroborating that as like, that's the
insight check them.
Right, yeah, I think I failed.
And it was like, he's lying. I'm like, what are you lying about?
I think I failed the insight check. And so it was like, so I just straight up believed them, and I was like, okay, if my character believes that these guys are real paladins and the blah, 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 then all I have to go on is that she's a devil and she's escaped, and devils are very dangerous. By that point,
excellent case.
By that point, I'd already met Raphael or whatever his name is as well, the actual devil.
Yeah,
and I'd talked to all of my fellow party members about devils and the danger of them and stuff. And and so I was like, all right, devils are dangerous, and I've encountered one. I don't want to let this lady talk. So it kind of hurt me because I was like, oh man, I kind of want to see what her story is, but I'm playing a roleplay version, and so
she just got a word out. If she
didn't get a word in edgeways. I sneak attacked her from afar, started a fight, and she was dead within the first round because I got Will to go up against her.
Fun fact, you can keep her head if you don't give it over, and then you can make Scratch fetch it.
Oh, really?
You can play fetch with her head.
Why did they... Oh, man, the stuff they've put into this game.
That's a busted version of a character that I did once, I did keep the head, and I just used it to peg at enemies. That's my version of handball. Mate,
it's incredible the amount of versatility of the game, the amount of like different stories you can tell, and the fact that you can do pretty much whatever you want feels very D&D. The things that really sort of irk me though is just all of the things that they've changed for seemingly no reason other than to just change it. And I'm like, that's not how that spell works, and that's not how that works, and this isn't how that feature works, and what's this about? Why have they changed that? And surely that would have been easy to program the right way. And there's just so much that I'm like, that's not D&D, that's not how it works. Why has this guy got this now?
I love Rob just vibrating with intense rage.
There's so much. And it's because, like, quite often I'm going, all right, here's how I would strategize this particular moment in a D&D game. If I was playing this character and I had these things at my disposal, I would do this, and then this, and then this. And then I cast Spiritual Weapon or something, and then I'm like, wait, that's not how Spiritual Weapon works. What? Why is it? And then that's ruined the rest of my plan for this turn.
And beautiful strategy!
It feels like I'm having to learn 1 D&D or something.
I think I kind of like that, though, because it is kind of bringing you into that sense of you are learning in a new world, even if you have that kind of those because I have, a little bit of D&D kind of knowledge to go off of, but not a whole lot. So I felt like I was learning a whole new system.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to me that there's still a level of that that learning and that developing and growing and progressing, even if you are familiar with the base content. Like, I think that's great. Even if it does annoy people who are like, but hang on.
I know the rules of D&D 5e back to front.
Yeah.
Like, I know them.
Of course.
I know every single obscure rule there is, and I'm there with all of the rules. They're right up in here. It's
but not with
one
this
of my
version
strengths.
Of the rules.
And then I play a video game that claims to be 5e, and I'm like, that's not how that works. Why is my spell not working the way it should? Why did fly only last for 10 rounds? Like, I got stuck somewhere once because there was an area you can only access by flying. You can't climb up or down. And so I was like, I had a guy cast fly on me, and I flew up there to investigate it, and then where's my fly option gone? I can't.
Well, I live here now.
I just live up in this ledge that I can't get down or up from, so I had to reload that.
I had to walk Astarion through because I was in an area in the Grimforge that has a lava elemental kind of walking around, and I needed something on the other side of it that only Astarion had enough charisma to roll for, and I got him across with fly. Then forgot that was my last lot, and then had to try and figure out where to get him back across the lava elemental pit. And then, of course, if a body chars and burns, you can't use a revivify scroll. So I was like, I had to get ready to kill him, go back to Withers and be like, hey, so I crucified the vampire, help. He was like, you dumb bitch. Yeah, I know. It's just made me look silly goofy.
Man, the Revivify Scroll was another one that irked me because I was like, right after the very first encounter with the goblins, the goblins and the tiefling camp, and they all fight alongside us, and then they let us into the thing, and the guy's dead up on the top where the horn is, and the NPCs are going over his body, being like, oh, he's dead, mourning, and they tell you to fuck off. They're telling you, oh, can you leave us alone? You're an outsider, whatever. And the first thing I did was get out a Revivify Scroll, and I was like, all right, let's bring this guy back.
Yeah, not on NPCs.
And then the game's like, no, not allowed to bring back NPCs. I was like, but he's dead, and I wanted. And then once I was in the camp, I went and spoke with the lady who's stirring the gruel, and she's giving out slops, and she's talking about what I would do for some salt, and I'd love some more food. I'm doing my best to feed an entire camp. And so the first thing I did was went into my inventory, and I was like, all of the freaking legs of lamb and apples and fresh fruit and vegetables and meats
tomatoes,
pig's head, and even salts. Like, I've got all of the salts of whatever for the ingredients of potion brew, and I'm like, her dialogue comes up saying what I would give for some salt, and I'm like, I've got all of the salt you would want and all of the food, and there's no way of me giving it to you.
We can pave some roads with the amount of salt I've got right now. Let's go.
I was like, give me some. Here we go. I've later found out, yes, with certain people you can click on a thing down in the very bottom left corner as you talk to them, and it opens up their merchant window, even if they're not a merchant, and then you can just donate them stuff that way, but it doesn't give them. There's no additional dialogue or anything from it.
I play with a controller. Even though I play on PC, I play with an Xbox controller, which changes a lot of the UI. And there are some things that you just can't access then because you are using a controller over mouse and keyboard.
Right.
So, I never have that option.
Interesting.
All my stuff's in different places. But I feel like there you go.
There's a lot of the game that I'm really enjoying, but there's a lot of it that I'm like, oh god, this is such a video game. I just want it to be a tabletop role playing game, but there's certain limitations.
Yeah, thank God we have actual D&D then.
Right, right. Just every time I'm playing it, I'm like, man, I wish I was playing D&D.
Wait a minute. Hang on a second. Surrounded by, I'm literally looking at all your law books in the background right now.
Yeah, man.
All the handbooks already.
Hundreds and hundreds of them. To be fair, most of these I've never even opened because they just keep churning them out.
That's very fair.
You just fall behind and you're like, what is the latest one they brought out? What is this one? I've never even heard of it.
I rue the day that I grow confident enough to think I can DM, because I've been allowed rule of cool for too long. And now I'm like, what bullshit homebrew like crap have I managed to like sink into my own game that's going to be really off the cuff?
So you're saying you've never DM'd?
No, never. I don't think I have the knowledge to pull that out of my butt. Like I can improv, I can ad lib, that's okay, but to have the backing of the rule set and to be able to craft those experiences that feel really, really rewarding to a player, I don't think I can properly articulate in the way that I feel my players would deserve. I am trying to learn how to run the Mass Effect TTRPG though.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know the rules, but I do know the lore, so hopefully I can make something fun out of that.
You certainly do. I think that might be one of the first times I saw you actually on panels at PAX. talking about which Mass Effect characters you'd bang.
Oh yeah, Matt Brown and I came up with the idea for the Mass Effect Smash or Pass, and it truly was an absolute blessing. Just a good excuse to just rant for an hour about my love for Thane Krios and make silly PowerPoints while I do it, and have a slide that said, show us the R18 cut by where you cowards, with the cat from Stray pointing a gun. Yeah, just perfect. Incredible stuff.
I love the choice to get Matt Brown to host it when he's never heard or seen any Mass Effect. Never played
that was
the game.
part of the thing. Was because I was worried that I wouldn't be allowed to host it. So I was like, Matt, if you host it, he was like, I know nothing about it. I'm like, that's the fun part.
That's the fun. Yeah, hosting a thing about
we'll
Smash
teach you
or Pass.
about it.
Yeah. And then he did it again this year with, which game was it? Dragon Age?
Dragon Age, yes. Which is also very funny, because it just breeds his particular brand of chaos.
Yeah,
it's just to make it up.
Next year's whatever game that's going to be.
Oh,
Smash
I hope it's Baldur's Gate.
Smash Up as Baldur's Gate. Oh, then I could actually get involved with what you're talking about. I could heckle you from the audience.
Just throwing gummy bears from center stage.
After letting Lae'zel go and murdering Karlach and what was her name, Miriam or something.
Minthara.
After I was left with very few female options for my character to woo.
Really? So I assume it was Shadowheart?
Shadowheart, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I think she's the only one left.
Yeah, she's the only one.
I don't know if you can romance Jaheira. Shadowheart, yeah.
So
she's my best friend. I love her.
All right, so what I like to start a short rest with, half an hour in, is setting up our short rest. So we've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate. What did that lead us to actually? I said to Jen before we started, I was like, this is just a chill chat. There's no real structure to it. It's just let's hang out for 2 hours and catch up with friends, talk about what you're up to. I don't think that with the two of us we're going to have any dead air at any point. and we've talked for 25 minutes about bloody Baldur's Gate. All right.
Setting up the setup to this.
Setting up the setup to the 2 hour
yes,
talk.
Okay. Are we setting up what we were doing?
We're setting up the short rest. Yeah, what are we...
I dare say we've been on a harrowing adventure through, maybe not the Underdark itself, but something very similar. We're low on supplies, but we feel now we are finally able to achieve a bit of rest. The enemy field is clear. The stars are, I assume, quite bright. The fire is crackling. There's stars in the Underdark, I'm sure. Maybe they're glowworms. Maybe they're glowworms. Maybe they're glowworms, Rob. You don't know. They could be stars.
I can see some of the flaws in your GMing style already. So you're in the Underdark. The stars.
I said Underdark like. How there could be a hole in the ceiling. You don't know.
You're in the Underdark. The stars are bright on this midsummer day.
Wait a minute, hang on.
Whiplash with where we are. The forest around you teems with the hot heat of the desert. What are we? Where?
You're in the Feywilds. This is an illusion. Welcome to hell. Roll initiative.
If in doubt, this is all an illusion. Welcome to. If any player ever pulls you up on any inconsistencies, but I thought you said, illusion. Well done. You managed to see through the illusion that was definitely designed. Roll initiative.
Everything's a changeling. Everything's a shapeshifter. Everything's an illusion. It's all a dream.
My very first game of D&D ever, I'm pretty sure the guy was doing that. He was basically improvising stuff, and we were interrogating a guy down in some cells, and my character spoke some language that I didn't know the first thing about D&D. I'd just been given a pre-made character sheet, and I was looking under languages, and I was like, oh, I'm going to speak in whatever language to my buddy about the interrogation and how it's going, and be like, maybe you try good cop, bad cop, blah, blah, blah. And then the GM started responding to me in the character, and I was like, is he speaking this obscure language? And he goes, yes, he is. And then he winks at you, and then he changes shape. And I was like, he's making this. Afterwards, I was like, he's just changing. And he just became a doppelganger, and we had to fight some doppelgangers.
What you didn't see was him turn around and go, oh, shit.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, I didn't mean...
out what he did.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
I would so do that, though. Yeah, I feel like we've just come off a very heavy battle. We're tired. The tension is kind of leaving our bodies slowly and surely as we've trudged through this Underdark-like place that maybe has an open ceiling. You don't know. Open plan concept.
Also known as a canyon.
Also known as a canyon, maybe. Maybe there's a hole in the roof, Rob. Maybe there's a hole in the roof.
It's literally called Underdark, so it has to be under something. The one defining feature about the Underdark is that it's underground. That's the only thing that is consistent.
I got half the name right. Underdark is 2 parts of that. I got 50% of it right.
It's under the dark sky. It's under the dark night sky with the stars. Gotcha. All right. Everything is the Underdark. We are all the Underdark on this blessed day.
This conversation that we've had in real life has been the delirious effects of post-battle as we have stumbled blearily into camp to sit down and have a brew.
Yes.
Have a brew.
Speaking of Baldur's Gate and short rests, it took me a long time to work out how to rest in the game. I was just like, yeah, because I was kind of expecting, not having the video game experience, I was expecting that time was kind of passing in the game. And that, like, I'd be doing my thing, whatever I do in the day, and then eventually, like, the light would start to go darker, and my characters would start to make comments like, "Oh man, I'm getting tired. I wish we should rest," and whatever. And then I'd eventually stumble across like a camp within the world where my characters would be like, "Hey, maybe we should rest here," and then I'd be able to like take a rest there.
Real D&D.
Yeah, like real D&D. And so eventually when I found the fact there's just like a button that is essentially like it teleports you to a different dimension where you just have a camp set up. Because I'd had all this dialogue like, go wait in the camp for me, or send to the camp. And I'm like, where is it going and who's sending it? I was like looking for birds as it sent to camp. I was expecting like an animal messenger to like take something away.
Where are they going?
And then, so that's one thing I did at one point. I was like, I found the send to camp button, and I was like, oh, this is how I'm gonna find my camp. I'm gonna send this to a camp, and then I'm gonna conjure like a find familiar of an owl or some shit, and that's gonna take that item to a camp, and then I can follow the bird to find where the fuck my camp is, because I'm wandering around and I can't find it anywhere. And I'd achieved so much of the main campaign without resting. Like, people were like, holy shit, have you not... is this your first long rest? Because certain dialogue hadn't happened. Like, they were like, do you not know Asterian's a vampire yet? And all this. And I'm like,
no.
I hadn't encountered any of this, like, story progression that happens only when you rest, because I'd gone all the way through to, like, saving the...
He's looking for the birds.
Yeah, I'm looking for, like, where the fuck's my camp? And then eventually I found it. I was like, oh, you just teleport to a spatial dimension that is your camp, and then start again. Universe. Yeah.
My character was much the same. I was afraid that long resting would advance days, and that quests would get locked out if I had done too much, so I didn't rest.
Exactly.
Even though I really needed to, because I was quite bad at it. When I first started, I was quite bad at the game. Like, it took me 6 hours to get through the goblin camp.
Yeah.
Because I kept having to reload again and again and again and again. And I was terrified of, like, what if the grove gets locked down while I'm sleeping?
Right. Especially because they're like, oh, we're moments away from the completion of... And if that's D&D, that's the DM telling you, hey, if you fuck around, the world continues without you. That's one of the core elements of D&D. The world is continuing whether you're there or not.
Yeah, then I realized... it's very like literal in a game version of this, when that countdown starts, you have this many rounds to do something. If you don't do it between this time, you're dead, you're done, it's over, you're gonna fail. So that was good, but at that time I didn't freaking know that. So I wasn't resting, so all of my all the staggered story things got out of order, and I missed stuff.
Yeah.
So then by Act 3 I hadn't seen half of the stuff I was supposed to.
Yeah.
So I made 7 other characters and instead went through all of their stories. I slipped and fell. One
of the things, so because I started it and played through a little bit, and I was like, I'm not enjoying this, and then restarted it, there were certain elements that I did see twice, like the Asterion trying to bite you in the middle of the night and stuff like that. And so I knew meta level he was a vampire going into my second playthrough, my roleplay playthrough. But we eventually met the monster hunter over in the swamp who said, I'm looking for a vampire called Asterion or whatever. And my character's like, okay, well, I haven't seen him, and he lets him go. And then I was like, you're a vampire? I had all this dialogue. And I still hadn't had the long rest at that point. Like, I dealt with a whole bunch of shit. And then eventually I have the long rest where Asterion tries to bite me. And I'm like, whoa, you're a vampire? And I'm like, no. We've already had this. I already know this. This isn't a reveal. And everybody in my chat's like, yeah, because you're meant to have long rested before you've done, like, 20 quests, Rob. Jesus. I'm so frugal with all of my... And it also comes from me knowing D&D really well. I know how to, like... I'm a proper min-maxer sometimes. I can be a super optimizer. So I'm like, I'll make sure that Asterion can sneak up behind somebody and just, like, sneak attack, kill them before the fight even starts. And I can find a part where in the destroyed village where there's 3 ogres and one of them's like a spellcaster. If you just put Asterion up in the rafters, he can just hide, sneak attack one of them, hide again, sneak attack one, and they'll just stand there going, "What's all this then? Something's happening."
Experience.
And on all of their turns they just do nothing until eventually they're all dead. So I'm going through it like that, and I'm like like keeping all my resources, and I'm like, I'm not casting spells until I have to. Everybody's got Firebolt. Let's just use that. That's a good cantrip, and I'm just like keeping all my resources, and I'm not needing to rest.
Yeah, I always play characters. Well, not always. I do have one that's pretty murder happy. I generally try to avoid combat where necessary. So I recruited the ogres and made them my battering ram to go storm the goblin camp.
Because you get the horn, don't you? If they're not dead. Yeah, I killed them. I looted them for their horn. I got a horn that's like you can summon the ogres to fight, and I was like,
well. Oh, if it just drops their bodies wherever you...
Yeah, summon them and use them as boulders. Use them as a really low-level meteorite swarm.
Oh, wait. Never mind.
Lae'zel, get... Oh, goddamn. Who have I got around me?
You're all weak. You all have a strength under 10.
I got this guy who keeps eating my magic weapons, and I got this guy...
Gale, stop eating my shoes. Stop it.
Stop eating
naughty.
You know Forgeling, yeah, you know Forgeling from the I was staying with him
wonderful Forgeling.
Yeah, I was staying with him for the PAX this year, and he did cosplayed as Gale at some point and just kept eating people's shoes.
Oh dear! Oh my god, I'm so mad I didn't see him.
It was really good as well.
Cosplay.
Like he spent ages on the wig.
Man. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm so annoyed I missed it now.
I saw so many Asterions at PAX this year.
So many. I was wearing my my girl dinner Astarion shirt, and had a few cosplayers come up, and I was like, this is fun. Oh, and I don't know if you saw or not. I've been hunting down the Magic the Gathering Astarion card for ages, and I pulled it live on a panel.
Oh, nice.
Because I was like, I'm just gonna take some cards with me just while.
Oh, that's what it was about. Right, yes, I was at that panel, and you freaked out, and then you freaked out so much that you dropped it off the other side of the table at one point, and then you were like, and you stopped everything, and you were like, I'm not losing that, and you went around the front, and you were on hands and knees. I was like, I don't know what she's lost, but it's obviously important.
My darling Astarion card that I spent way too much money trying to find.
Jesus. I didn't even know that they were put into Magic, but hey, it makes sense.
Yes, I think it's the, what's it? Keep of Baldur's Gate, or it's a commander pack. Anyway, I got it. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. You got it, and now it's laminated.
And now it's in. Yeah, a lovely person in the audience gave me one of their card holders.
Oh, nice.
Because they were worried I'd somehow tear it, destroy it, or spill something on it. And you know what? They were probably right.
They were right. No, definitely.
They were right.
All right. So now that we've finally set up our short rest, we're in a camp. We're having a short rest. We've been pretty low on resources. One thing I discovered later as well is that you get 2 short rests per day, but if you're a bard, you just get a third. And my roleplay character is a bard. Yeah, the bard's Song of Rest doesn't work like that at all in D&D.
No,
but
you just get a third
in Baldur's Gate, it's basically just the Song of Rest is just a third short rest, which is an extra reason not to play, not to long rest. I'm just like, nah, I'll wait until I'm almost dead, and then I'm like, all right. Can we fix it with health potions? Yes, we can. We're picking up 1,000,001 health potions because they're just fucking ubiquitous all over the freaking game. I'm like, yeah, just have a health potion. They grow on trees. They grow on trees. Have a health potion instead. Can you walk it off? Let's walk it off. Let's keep going. Have you still got at least one spell slot? You have? Okay, let's go.
The entirety of Larian Studios is standing there, arms crossed, as these like scripts are passing you by, massive churning bits of character development.
Like, come on, walk it off. Let's go.
As they pass, walk it off.
What I was quite impressed with the game is the ability to change the dialogue options to suit what choices you have made to an extent.
Yes.
There was, of course, entire scenes that if you have done things out of order for some idiotic reason, you then things are a bit messed up. But generally speaking, if you've already come across somebody, the dialogue matches that. It's adapted to be like to not talk about it in a way that's like, why are you talking about him like that? We've already been there. Which I'm really impressed with, because most sort of roleplay video games that I've played before don't do that well.
It's like that extra level of immersion, I guess.
Yeah.
It's also, there's so many contingency plans in place for idiot things that players will do. Like if you were to kill Zevlor, for instance, or one of the another one of the Tiefling commanders, there are like 3 backups.
Right,
like backup characters that will fill that role.
Right, that's good.
And yeah, you just go down the line of like killing each of them. But yeah, it's just like contingencies on contingencies. There are even lines of dialogue, like if you were to kill Astarion when you first meet him and then revivify him, he'll remember that and be like, what the fuck, man? Thanks for bringing me back, I guess, but what the hell?
Well, you put a knife to my throat, prick.
So many like, backup plans on backup plans. It makes me want to... It inspires me with a passion to write for games and do more writing and that kind of stuff, to make something that cool. Like that
it astounds me the level of complicated planning that must have gone into like trying to make a decision tree that can be like, the story could go any of these ways.
Yeah, less of a tree, more of like a hedge maze.
Just a hedge maze of decisions, and being like, well, if they kill this person, all of this is gone, I guess. And if they pruning the tree from down the base.
I like to think of it as like, there is some like godly DM, again, every time we do something stupid, just going, oh shit, and scribbling everything out and ripping the pages out of the book and making up.
we just filmed season 2 of D&D Logic with Viva La Dirt League the other day.
Amazing.
And one of the skits is basically that. A couple of the skits actually are basically that, where the punchline at the end is me as the dungeon master just being like, all right, you go to the left then, I guess.
Well, they're a doppelganger, I guess.
Well, I guess they were a doppelganger the whole time. Roll initiative. Okay, short rest set up. So let's start with talking about names. I like to start with my guest asking about, where did GeeOfDee come from?
GeeOfDee was a joke. Well, not even a joke. It was just a thing that one of my best friends in high school used to say to me when we were in class together. I think it was like their version of a nickname. We started making these little it's a shitty little cartoon series that we were making, like just on notebooks in class when we were supposed to be concentrating. And the characters were called Jemmies. And I don't know how it got from there, but it just became a thing of calling them, of just like, how how did we get on that topic? Anyway, it's trying to remember it is more confusing than the actual name itself. Anyway, it became a thing where she would just start saying oh, that's right. We tried to make it into like a fantasy setting, I think, and we're trying to think like fantasy based names, and the of was always like something of Excalibur.
You're right, yeah.
And it became just my first name is Gemma, my last name is Driscoll, so it just became GeeOfDee because GD, and that was it. And I just kind of kept it.
And then you just kept it, was like, oh, this will be my title on whenever I'm doing like streaming and stuff.
Well, yeah, I started a YouTube channel when I was, I want to say 17, 18. And I was trying to think of a name, and that was what came to mind. I was like, oh yeah, that's what Hannah used to call me. That could be fun. That's a placeholder name until I think of something else. And then
it's always the case.
Kinda...
Placeholders are always like, yeah, placeholders until I just pressed something on my I was trying to adjust headphones volume, and I accidentally pressed something else instead. There we are. Yeah, placeholders are always a case of like, this'll fit, and then you use it for so long that you just can't imagine anything else. And you're like, oh, that's the name now.
And now I've got people that just call me G, so I'm like, oh, sick. Okay, I guess that's become the default name for. Yeah. I can almost tell where people know me from based on what they call me. If they call me Gem, I can assume it's from the work I do on my TV show. If they call me Gemma, they probably know me in person, but that also scares me. And if it's G, it's like, oh, cool, we probably know each other online from D&D or streaming. Like, it's a fun little way to distinguish mentally who I'm talking to. So
then what about the consistency of whether it's double E or triple E? Or...
Okay, here's the thing. The triple E, Geee, was because when I made my Twitch, I have a bad feeling that I preemptively, before I started streaming, had made a regular GEE account. But then I locked myself out of it. So I don't know what email I used. I can't get the account back. It exists. Someone has the name, but I can't get back into that account. And I've been meaning to contact Twitch about it because the account is not, it doesn't do anything.
No, but it's inactive. It must be inactive by definition because it's your account.
I'm pretty sure I made it. So instead of like going through that hassle, because at that point I was like, okay, I'd lost the name. I just made the triple E account, which has now caused so many nightmares for anyone working with me.
It's not the greatest of search engine optimization, is it?
It's not. But thankfully, if you just search my regular name, it still pops up because it's close enough that it all goes together. It's just a nightmare for people who are trying to link to my channel because it's like, shit, which one is it? If it's on Twitch, it is the triple E. If it's on TikTok, it is the triple E because again, someone took the double E. That wasn't me that time.
Oh, interesting.
Someone else on TikTok owns the GeeOfDee name, and I want it back. That's mine. Fair and freaking square.
Have they got an enormous account?
I didn't see it. They just said the name was taken.
You should check it out. You should stalk them.
You're right, I should. I'm going to find out where they are. Give me my name back. It's mine. Because I have to imagine no one's coming up with that organically. Like, that's such a stupid collection of letters.
Maybe, though. Because
another Gemma Driscoll.
Yeah. It's just anyone of, like, maybe the actual royalty.
They can have it then if I get a percentage.
I'm Gillian of Densbury. GeeOfDee.
Gillian of Densbury, if you're out there, if you're listening, please, I beg you, give it back. I need my branding.
So you got your start on YouTube, you say? You started with the YouTube channel?
Yeah, so kind of, it's not like, it's an account that I use once a year now when Mass Effect stuff comes out for my reactions. But yeah, I started the channel, when I was in my teens as kind of a way to just get better at script writing, to kind of start making, I'd grown up on YouTube, like, you know, Den and Phil, Markiplier, like I'd grown up on that content. And there's a part of me, I think, that really wanted to be like that. So I kind of started making videos. My first ever video on that channel was talking about Mass Effect and how much I loved it. So yeah, I did like little game reviews on there. It was how I learned how to kind of formulate reviews, write, do a bit of editing work. And yeah, it kind of, when I applied for the job that I have now, which is hosting for a show called Good Game Spawn Point, I had to submit an audition tape through my YouTube. which was great because it had then my catalog of other stuff that I'd already done.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, it kind of, as like when I got this job, it kind of, I didn't have as much time to dedicate to it. So I'd fallen off the wagon a bit, but I'm getting more into it now with more longer form stuff. So I'm writing the Baldur's Gate thing at the moment. I'm writing more Mass Effect deep dive stuff. Like, it's it was always with the goal of learning something. So I feel like I achieved that and still am achieving it.
It's good when your YouTube can be like your audition space. You can just point to it and be like, look what I've done. I did the same when I got somebody contacted me about doing an audiobook, and they were like, have you ever done audiobooks before? And I was like, well, check, I've got a playlist series called Robert Reads where I read books. here's a link to it.
And they were like, earlier.
I'm gonna say yes then. I was like, so technically not audiobooks, but like, and they're like, yeah, it's close enough to the same idea.
That's amazing. I think half of it as well is like showing that you are willing to try things and you have some experience and you're like learning these skills and improving on these skills. I think is incredibly important. And, you know, not just for work purposes, also just for your own sense of like growing as a person. But heck yeah, dude, that's awesome. Congrats on narrating an audiobook. That's
Thank you. It's pretty exciting. It's for the Shadowrun world as well.
Ooh, all right. When can we get our ears on that? Is that already out?
Not sure yet. still in the editing stage of it apparently, but they'll let me know when it's all done.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
It's through a company that I'm just doing the recording and sending it back to them, and they're doing everything else.
Yeah, sick. As someone who is trying to get into like doing more voice acting stuff, like that is always such a cool thing to hear.
Yeah, I have to do Russian for it. It's a novella from the Shadowrun series, and I had to do Russian voice for many of the character. Yes, to do Russian for many of it, and I had to look into not doing it too stereotypical, and I looked at various different pronunciations of things. There's a lot of vowels that just straight up sound like different vowels entirely.
Yeah.
There's a character in it called Oleg, which I would have thought was like Oleg, but it's just Alec, like ALEC.
There's not an A or a C in that.
Yeah, I'm like Alec. I was like, okay. I mean, you say
sure.
But I had
making this up now.
Yeah, I had a Russian guy go through the whole thing and like tell me this is how this would be pronounced and blah blah blah. I was like, right,
yeah, amazing.
Let's make sure that I'm pronouncing things right.
No, I feel that. I do. That's why I found like TTRPG stuff so much fun, and doing like I'm in 2 campaigns at the moment. One with the wonderful AJ Winters and one with Matt Brown. DMing us, and different styles of talk and different accents in both of those has been really fun. We're both doing like series, like 6-episode series at the moment, and trying to remember to keep the same dialect and coming back to it week after week has actually been really, really fun, but really challenging. Yeah. I think AJ's heard my voice change a couple times in the 3 episodes that we have.
Another bane of the Dungeon Master to be like, you're going back to the Sneaky Goblin Tavern, are you? Okay. Who was it was run by and they're like, oh, it was run by so and so, the half orc, and you're like, yeah, I remember them definitely. That I didn't invent them on the spot.
They now have a transatlantic accent. Don't ask questions.
They've been travelling since you last saw them. Weren't we here a week ago?
They're a doppelganger.
They pick up. They're a doppelganger. Roll initiative. Stop pointing out inconsistencies if you want to stop fighting doppelgangers. Roll initiative. They just get absolute expert at fighting doppelgangers specifically.
Get ready for my upcoming campaign. Whoops, more doppelganger.
I want you to run a game now for like a Jaspers or something, and you have to do a one shot, and you have to put in as many doppelgangers as you can, just to make it look like you're just doing it to make things up. I think that could actually be a really funny thing to like lean into the comedy of like to set it up like you're just making, like you're trying your best to make it as serious as possible, but you just accidentally keep just putting in doppelgangers. You just accidentally keep putting things as illusions.
Guys, I don't know. Oh no!
There's an illusion around. There's an illusion around you. Didn't you say the doll was made of wood though? Why can't I break it down? Why are we rolling it? You'll see. There's secrets. There's secrets happening behind the scenes.
Oh man. It's happening.
The VLDL fellows helped with asking for background questions of everyone they meet. Yeah, absolutely. So you started on YouTube. You got your you started making videos and you used that to audition for the Good Game Spawn Point, and you got that straight away. Was there like lots of rounds of auditions that you?
So yeah, there was I think it was like a month and a half long audition process. So first it was submit like a 2-minute review that you've written. I did mine on Horizon Zero Dawn, which was my favorite game at the time. Then it was go in, meet the other presenters, kind of do a little bit like an ad-lib review with them. No scripts, kind of bouncing off each other, which was really good for like testing your ability to kind of like pull facts out of your ass, and also ad-libbing, which was great. I was very nervous, but seemed to go well. Next one was writing a full-length review, about 3 or 4 pages. Then it was a test of like on live camera, like live streaming, and how you like kind of reacted to keeping like flow of conversation going, how much you could talk on the spot, that sort of thing. And then yeah, I kind of resigned myself
not your strong suit, I'm sure. Not that we're just started getting into like how you got started.
How far into this are we? About an hour?
Approaching an hour.
Yeah, I was a born chatterbox. I loved talking from a very young age. How can you tell? And I kind of resigned myself that I wasn't going to be getting it because I hadn't heard anything for a while. And then one afternoon, I got a call from my now producer, who was like, "Hey, it's me. Congratulations, you got the job."
Nice.
And then I called everyone that I had in my phone. And then I screamed for a little while. And then it sunk in what was going to happen.
I think you delivered me a parcel one time.
Yeah. I just want Uber driver I had once. I got a job.
It do be like that. As an actor especially, like one of the best things to do, one of the best advice for an actor is like forget that you ever had the audition. As soon as you're done with the audition, forget you had it. Like, because you're not going to get it. Just be like, that was done. That was an experience.
Yep.
And then you get a pleasant surprise if they call you, and you're not fretting about it if they don't.
Absolutely. There's no point in... I say this as someone who, again, do as I say, not as I do, chronically overthinks everything. It does you no favors to dwell at all. It just does. You're not helping anybody. You're not helping yourself.
And you can never know either. Like, I've booked some of the auditions where I was like, man, I tanked that. And then other ones I was like, fucking nailed it, and I'll never hear back.
Why don't they like me?
Yeah,
literally, there's no point to it. The catch to this was unfortunately that, well, not unfortunately, just a thing that happened. I had just enrolled to study game design at AIE, and I had to make the call and be like, so about that, I'm not coming anymore. I've got a full-time job. I can't do both.
Screw you, I'm famous now. Whee!
Whoa! Hang up the phone. They never contacted me since. No, they're lovely. The folks at AIE are wonderful peeps. But yeah, that was kind of how that happened. And then from the girl who was kind of worried that because she got a bad ATAR, her life would be over, working at EB Games, she is on television. So that was 6 years ago.
Nice. And you enjoy it?
I love it. It was like my dream. It's my dream job. You know, like I loved the show when I was a kid, and I've gotten to meet so many wonderful people, and like the presenters who used to host it, I've got to meet them and become like good mates with them, which is fantastic. I made my one of my co-hosts, Angharad, is like my best friend. Like I love her so much. It's been a wonderful experience. Like, and it is that thing of like I just want to keep aiming higher. Yeah. Just keep pushing forward, I guess. So. It's always easy to have a job, to find a job when you have a job. So yeah.
Well, yeah, right. What sort of age range is it aimed at?
I mean, for strictly speaking, Spawn Point is aimed between like 6 to 12-ish. But we have an audience that kind of spans a wide range because they're old fans of the brand or they just found the show later in life. I was at a school yesterday doing a presentation in Melbourne. And had a handful of like 14, 15-year-olds come up to me and be like, "Oh my gosh, like I love the show. Like, could you sign my bags?" And I'm like, if your mother yells at me, I will cry. I will cry. There needs to be something that's paper that I'm not physically responsible for ruining. Thank you so much. But yeah, very sweet, very cute.
Very cool indeed. Hey Sarah, Pixies and Pins in the chat. How's it going? Good to see you. Happy Christmas joy to you.
Hey darling.
We're just chatting about how G got a start in the stuff that she does. So let's move into TTRPG specifically. How did you get started in those? When was the first TTRPG you played?
I think it was just a random. I think it was a Jaspers actually. I think it was the first. That was the first. I think I played D&D once or twice before with some mates. that had like a long established group. So I was kind of like the newbie that kind of stepped into it. And I didn't really gel with it as much. I think because I was coming into an established group of people, I didn't quite know how to fit in. I kind of felt a little bit out of place and a little bit scared, and I didn't really know the rules, and they all knew the rules, so I got a bit scared off of it. And then I got a message on Discord in like 2019, I think 2020, asking me to be on Jaspers because I'd made some. I don't remember who it was that asked me. I think it might have been Heath. It might have been Heath actually. My friend Heath, and he was a fan. His son was a fan of the show, and asked if I wanted to be part of Jasper's game day. And I was
just from watching the show.
Yeah.
Had you talked about TTRPGs on the show that you watched or something?
No.
Like, so you.
No, I think I'd mentioned it maybe on Twitter that I had, or like maybe I'd posted on Instagram that I was like trying to like get into it a bit more. I was like keen on the idea that I've been playing with some friends. But yeah, he was like, hey, like, would you want to jump on for Jaspers? And I was like, hell yeah, okay, sounds cool. Didn't really think about the ramifications of that until afterwards. Went, oh my god, you just agreed to the game that you've been scared of this whole time. Oh my god, you're doing it live, you fool, you idiot.
Defend.
So I crammed. Oh, I crammed like a mad woman, trying to remember as much, like trying to smash the law book into my head, trying to get, like I bought like a bunch of handbooks that I still have, and I'm like, come on, absorb the rules. And I jumped in.
Been better reading them, I think. Like
I tried that. I really came to it. It was a last resort, okay?
Don't tell me my process, Rob. Don't tell.
I'm an artiste. Okay, I have my own process. Sometimes it's drilling holes in ceilings to see the stars. Sometimes it's smashing books into my own forehead. You never know what's going to work. Sometimes it's declaring everything's a doppelganger. The point is, I kind of got into the Jaspers session and I was really worried that I'd mess it up somehow, or that, you know, I wouldn't know the rules and I'd make a fool of myself, or I'd, you know, make it difficult for everyone else because they'd have to explain everything to me. And it was the most fun I think I've had in ages. Like in that period of time in my life, I had never felt so creatively free to just be a little goblin.
Nice.
Have a little bit of fun. And we were like really focused on role play in that session, and it was just cool just to make a whole story with these wonderful people who accepted it with such open arms and just bounce off of each other. And yeah, I've been coming back ever since. That was kind of the first, but was not the last.
Jaspers, for those who don't know, by the way, is Jaspers Game Day. It's a charity that focuses on mental health and well-being, suicide prevention, that sort of stuff. Specifically in the fields of gaming and video gaming and TTRPGs and stuff.
Yeah, wonderful.
It's a very good cause. I've been involved with them a couple of times.
Yeah, I think I've done one every year since, which has been great. And that's how I met you. I've met so many.
Dead as a Gamer and Dreaded GM and all this. Yeah, often involved.
Yeah, so many amazing people that I now consider like very dear friends through this fun game where we make up shit on the spot and
cool.
hopefully save the day. Like, that's amazing. And now, yeah, like I said, I'm in Strixhaven campaign, hosted by the lovely AJ Winters, which has been so much fun and really testing me. I made a bard character for some reason. I never play bards, but it's been a lot of fun, like kind of getting to run around in this like school-based college world with some other amazing players and just have a laugh. And then we're in a Teens in Space campaign as well with wonderful Matt Brown, DM. And that's been so much fun.
It's like Teens on Bikes, but sci-fi, right?
Yeah. So it's called Get to the Hilux. We have a space Hilux in galactic central New Jersey, is what we call the area of space we're in. And I play a character called Stitches, who is a cephalon, so a creature living in another creature she's like Frankensteined, pulled together from different parts of different species.
Oh, damn.
So she's a little freak and I love her.
That sounds fun.
It is a lot of fun.
I've not played Kids on Bikes yet. I've got a document on my phone somewhere of like all the different TTRPG systems that I've played and the ones that I haven't, the ones that I want to, that sort of stuff. And it's been on the list of ones that I'd love to play at some point.
Oh, absolutely. A great person to play like Kids on Bikes with is Ellen, our wonderful Ellen. She is just the most fun to play that particular, like, of any game, like all the games I've played with her, I think I've had the most fun when we did Kids on Bikes together, because she's just so witty and so clever, and it just comes together so rapidly when she's around.
Maybe I'll have to ask her to run me a game sometime. Tick it off my list of TTRPGs. What other TTRPGs have you played? Which are the
Not
systems?
not a whole lot. Like, so D&D 5e has been the one I've predominantly been exposed to. I'm learning the Mass Effect TTRPG at the moment.
What sort of a
Which
system is it? Is it D20?
it's yeah, it's loosely. I think it's loosely based on like it's got some 5e elements to it. But it's kind of Frankenstein from a few different things. I don't really understand all of it just yet. I'm still learning. I've tried playing the Cyberpunk RPG, sorry, TTRPG. I'm not particularly good at that, but I do love trying.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kids on Bikes has been the ones I think I've done the most of, and I think I played one game. Oh, what was it called? It was with AJ, and it was about cats, and we were
Oh, was it
helping.
Pests and Pets?
Yeah, that's it. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That
that's
was
her
really
own.
fun.
Yeah, that's the one that she made herself.
Yeah, so
where,
much fun.
Yeah,
I really like that.
it's kind of like a honey heist mechanic, I think, where it's like sliding scale of pet to pest or something.
Yeah.
Or you have like a stat in pet and a stat in pest or something. And
Yeah.
if you're doing something
was so
particularly
much fun.
feral or annoying, you're a pest or something. I can't remember.
I was a goat. I was a tiny goat who ended up trying to do a Matrix style thing, and she let me do the most rule of cool, which was like Matrix style, like use my rage to channel, like to direct me into a carriage and do like a flip in the air to get over these like things on the ground. It was the most bullshit mechanic move I've ever done in my life. But man, was it fun to cinematically very fun to describe.
Yeah, man, that's what it's about. I feel like you'd thrive in other some like more narrative based TTRPGs. I think if you try your hand at GMing one time, there's lots of things out there like 1-page RPGs like Grant Howitt's stuff and things like that. You could really thrive in like playing some. Oh, have you ever heard of Dread? Dread's a really good one. It's not our friend Dread, the TTRPG Dread.
I know well.
You ever heard of Dread the TTRPG? It's a Jenga based system.
Haven't. Ooh, I think I played a loose version of that once at a party. But yeah, I want to have a look at that.
Very strongly narrative driven because the only
Yeah.
mechanic is pulling from a Jenga tower, and it's designed to be a horror or a thriller because the natural tension is growing because like at the start of the game you're trying things that are you're pulling a couple of blocks from a Jenga tower, but as the game progresses, the more and more danger is knocking over the Jenga tower and you die.
Absolutely. Oh man,
it's a very good narrative game.
Oh, absolutely. I would love that. Especially I have a real fascination with horror and the way we use horror in media to teach lessons.
Right.
And like evoke emotion from us.
Yeah.
So that sounds really fun. Oh, another Call of Cthulhu. Another really good system that I really enjoy, being a little LA Noire style cop facing eldritch horrors. Poorly most of the time,
and just slowly going insane. And it's one of those systems where it's like if you play it long enough, you're gonna die. Oh, you're gonna go crazy.
Yes.
Are you gonna like? And so you just kind of got to know that going into it.
Literally, my first time playing Call of Cthulhu, I blew up half of our party because I went crazy and decided that was the best course of action.
Nice. Yeah, I've played Call of Cthulhu once or twice and didn't play long enough for my character to be driven fully insane, but you start to lose those sanity points. Like anything that happens, it's like roll a d4, you lose 3 points of sanity, and you're like, okay. You start to see it ticking away, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is definitely a thing that's going to disappear before too long.
It's fine, I can handle this. It's so much fun.
I love just like testing new TTRPGs. I love like playing 1-page RPGs or like short ones that are designed to be like maybe like 3 episodes or something. And just seeing what's out there because there's just a million of them, and they're there's so much more than just Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, absolutely.
And as much as I know about the Dungeons and Dragons rules and lore and things and love playing games in them, it's like you kind of want to get out and experience other stuff too.
Totally. I think it helps to like, even if it's just for the sense of improving your like play styles across any kind of formula or genre. It's like it's good to have that exposure to other things, to access different emotions, to like get to flaunt that different bit of creativity and style. I think that's friggin' sick, man. Hell yeah.
And stealing from other systems too, and being like, oh, I really like how this system does combat, or I really like how this system handles puzzle solving, or this one is this and this is this, and just being like, I'm gonna just make a Frankenstein version of my own TTRPG at some point.
Take a little bit of that.
And be like, it's kind of based on D&D 5e, but it's also got elements of this and that, and Highly
I have created the Frankenstein's monster of TTRPG. Behold my creature of dark and dejected terror.
Always. And it's like, are we using this system to tell a comedy though? why are we describing it as a horrific
Comedy
monstrosity?
I think there's comedy in horror.
So what are you working on at the moment? What's present day for GeeOfDee?
At the moment, I'm trying to finish Baldur's Gate. Still haven't finished it yet. Got like 400 hours in it. No, nowhere near finished.
Keep starting with new characters.
I get bored, and I'm
that was the problem with me in Pokemon when I was a kid. I had a Game Boy, and I never finished Pokemon because I'd just like lose interest in it, or I'd forget to play it for a bit, and then eventually I'd come back and I'd be like, I don't really remember I'm not really in the flow of it anymore. Let's start again, new character, let's go.
Literally.
So I played the start of Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow like 100 times at least.
Oh, dude, but oh my god, I know the like the inside of my like the palm of my hand. I'm so aggressively familiar with the start of that goddamn game. Oh, get me off the shit.
I've beaten Brock a million times.
I'm done. But yeah, so I'm at the moment, trying to finish Baldur's Gate. I'm trying to write a podcast at the moment, a narrative-driven podcast, which has been very fun, very challenging, but very fun. Trying to work out the moving pieces of that.
Tell me more about that. What's the... tell me what you can tell me about that.
It is a horror series, loose horror series based off of common like childhood fears, told from the perspective of 6 characters who inhabit a apartment complex and their stories with the fear that lives in each of their apartments. Before they come together to find out what's driven the fear here and what they can do to stop it, if they can stop it at all. Which has been very fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
What kind of horror are we talking? Like folk horror, eldritch horror?
More, think kind of like corner of the eye, just out of sight, but always kind of breathing over the neck sort of horror.
Right, okay,
I never explicitly want to show, obviously it's a podcast, I can't show anything. But you're never quite, the one thing I wanted to play with is if you're never quite sure if there is actually something there or not.
Yes, right. Paranoia.
Paranoia of the eldritch variety, I suppose.
Yeah, okay, this sounds fun.
Yeah.
And is it like anthology or what? Like,
the idea of it, I would love it to connect to other things. This is more a test run, I suppose. So it's only 6 episodes, only about 15, 20 minutes each. And if it works and we like it, there's places I can take the story. Otherwise, I'm very happy to let it sit in its anthology and be its own little thing. But the goal, I've always wanted to do this. I've got a few kind of, it's all those like irons in the fire and whatnot. I've always wanted to make an interconnected universe of media. Like, there's a short story that connects to a game, that connects to a podcast, that connects to a short film. Like, I love ARGs, and I love the way they make us consider that blur between like reality and fiction.
Right.
And I love it. I want to make something like that. That's like, if I could do anything, that's what I want to do.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, so I've kind of got that cooking. I'm shooting a short film.
The fun thing about horror, the weird thing about horror for me is that I don't like to consume horror things usually. Like, I never grew up liking horror movies, horror games, never played Resident Evil, that sort of stuff. But then I found the Magnus Archives podcast.
Dude, yes,
and I just fucking love it. I love it so much.
And then good.
And I started listening to the SCP archives as well, and I'm really enjoying those. Ooh. And then I found like
I haven't heard those ones yet.
You know SCP though? You know SCP?
Containment Breach.
Yeah. There's a podcast for them as well, which is really good. They start with like just kind of reading the SCP briefing, and then they kind of dramatize it as well, like dramatize like some audio of some of the officers going to deal with it, and then the things that they encounter.
Amazing, I love that.
Yeah, so I love that sort of stuff, and then I find that every Halloween, like I do a Halloween one shot on my channel, and I really enjoy telling those stories and writing those stories. And so, like, I don't know, I don't know what it is about like telling stories or listening to them in podcast form that makes it so much easier to digest. Because when I watch it, I'm like, no, I'm out. Nah, I can't do this. Don't like this at all. Don't like this at all.
I don't take it away. Take it away.
Take it away. I don't like it.
I think maybe a part of it is like when it's theater of the mind per se, like you can kind of make it as graphic as you want, like, and it is relying on. I don't know if you're one of those people that has the ability to like see pictures in their head.
Oh, yeah.
I can't. I can't see pictures. All I see is
You
just.
got aphantasia?
I think so. I don't really see images. I just kind of see a blurry. Like I know what it looks
You're
like,
on the
but
spectrum of aphantasia.
I guess, yeah.
I am way down the other end. I can vividly see anything that I want to see. Like I could have an entire virtual reality in my head if I wanted to make it happen.
I'm so jealous. It's very empty up here, man. There's not a lot going. There's like a hamster on a wheel, and a monkey banging cymbals together, and a weird encyclopedic lore of Mass Effect on the shelf. That's about it. Very tired. I'm very tired.
And Karlak lounging in some sort of lingerie.
My collection of Astarian cutouts on the wall. Yeah, it's all there. It's all there. But yeah, I think it is a level like when you're being shown what the horror is, there's no room for imagination there because you're being delivered it on a silver platter.
Yeah.
When you can kind of craft it in the mind's eye per se, I don't know. I think it makes it a more enriching experience even.
Yeah.
And it's just a bit creepy, isn't it?
I definitely think it's something to do with the control as well, as Fancy says in the chat there. Like, if I'm the one telling the story, I'm in control of the story, so I'm never frightened by it. And even when I'm listening to a podcast, I'm in control of what the monsters are looking like and how close they're getting. And stuff. Like, I can hear what the narrative is, and people are telling me what's going on, but I can still create the world around it, and I'm still in control of, like, visualize the visual elements of it and stuff.
Precisely. I think it's something of like a movie or a TV show controls your visual center as well as your audio processing. So having only one of them handled, a bit easier to manage.
And so your podcast, is it going to be because the reason I brought up Magnus is that it reminded me of like the elements of the Magnus Archive is. You should definitely listen to it for a start if you haven't already. If you like any sort of thriller, horror, sort of drama, it starts out as if it's a horror anthology series. Each episode is standalone and has nothing tied together. And then over time, over the seasons, as it goes, you realise that there is a tie between all of these horror stories. And I don't want to spoil too much, but basically it plays on the different fundamental fears. The fear of being alone, the fear of being watched, the fear of the dark, the fear of being buried or crushed, all that sort of stuff. And each one has kind of a theme that ties them together. And so that's kind of what it made me think of when you were talking about your horror podcast, is like these different fundamental fears that children have. Is there a similar thing there, or am I
very much so? Very much inspired by Magnus Archives. I think a part of it was trying to make it distinguished in my own mind, so it wasn't just making the Magnus Archives. So yeah, no, it's very in my mind very heavily inspired by it, because that was such a revolutionary concept to me. Finding the Magnus Archives and kind of getting into that, like, oh my gosh, there's so many stories you can tell just through audio. Like there are so many layers to that. And I want to do something kind of in a similar sense, but sort of make it a bit more. There's a closeness to the entities that I think Magnus Archive doesn't quite have. Right. In that you are going to be, as opposed to listening to it from like after the event, you're kind of going through it as the event is unfolding.
Right. Yeah.
And kind of getting to see that perspective from a teen's perspective, because all the characters are teenagers, as they're trying to deal with that impending doom, or never being quite certain that what they're seeing is actually there or not.
And is it told from one single person's perspective, or does the perspective jump around between them?
The idea at the moment is to have multiple perspectives. But the idea is it's all happening pretty much over the span of a couple of days, or maybe even like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Possibly a week, maybe, if I can stretch it. Yeah. So it's kind of in the loose phase of just like making sure everything's like, I've got like the individual stories. It's just tying them all together now. I'm like, okay, how do we weave these webs?
Yeah.
Which is always my thing. I find I'm very good at like blue sky pitching. And then when I actually have to do it, I'm like, dang it, I really shot too high, didn't I? Okay, here we go. Let's try and see what we can salvage from this.
See what I can get to.
I am one woman in an office with no soundproofing. Let's go.
Tell me about it. Jesus, the soundproofing. I'm surprised that my neighbors haven't realized that I'm streaming, because it seems like they have a roster of attacking their gardens at the times that I turn on my stream.
They know, man. They know.
They have a schedule. It's probably because we went a little out of my usual short rest slots just by a little bit, and so it threw them off. They were like, he's not streaming yet at 9 a.m. and they were like, I guess he's not streaming today.
Minute.
And now they're frantically trying to find where they put the lawnmower.
Where's the weed whacker? Where's the weed whacker?
Exactly. So when can we hope to hear the podcast? Is it just all solo produced? You're just working on it to be like, we'll see when it comes out.
Pretty much. It's a chip away at thing when I have the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure when that'll be. But when I know, you will know. I'm hoping to get some of our wonderful friends involved in it if possible.
Hell yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk about it when it comes out. And what else are you working on? You said you were mentioning something else as well.
Yeah, I'm looking to shoot a couple of very small short films over the course of the holidays because I have a bit of time where I will have a bit of a break for a change. So instead of having a break, why don't I fill it with more
Why
work?
don't I fill it with work? Hey,
why don't I make content? That's what I'll do.
After my own heart.
Yeah, that's how I'll relax.
Let me look at this calendar. Oh, there's a gap in in between all of the things in my schedule. That means I can put something in that gap.
That's literally what happened. I was like, oh, okay, so my contract ends at like this time. Okay, I'll have about 3 weeks where I don't have anything on. Oh, that could be a good time to shoot all this shit. Yeah, cool. So, yeah.
Why are we like this, Gemma?
I know, dude. I know. I'm like, I'm gonna have so much more time to stream. I'll be able to do the 24-hour streams I wanted to do. Oh, this is gonna be great.
Because we've got so many projects that we want to do and never time to do them. So when you've got time, you're like, yeah, let's start one of them projects. But then you've started another project and you never have time to do the other project.
I've got so many. I've started the bare bones of making a narrative game. I've got a bunch of scripts I want to get shot that I want to do over the break. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now's all the time to do that, and we'll see what comes out of that break.
Are these short films that you've written?
Yes.
Yeah.
So at the moment I've got a couple ones. I really like telling little stories from existing media. And that's been my little creative outlet, has been like writing little stories from characters that maybe were briefly mentioned or briefly encountered in games or movies. So one I've just finished writing is from the game Subnautica, which is really cool, underwater exploration game.
Yeah,
and I wanted to
write
the
survival crafting themes, where you're just in a submarine, you've got to pick up coral and fish and all sorts of stuff, and then make things out of it.
While being hunted by these giant creatures called the Leviathans. And it's one of my favorite games, and evokes within me such an intense fear of both the water and what's in the water.
Right.
Despite me I love swimming, but I'm terrified of the ocean.
Oh yeah.
As we all should be. We're not built for it. Okay, you're given legs. Don't go up there. Don't go down there. Stay in the middle.
We were talking before stream about Gemma's fear of flying, and now there's the fear of the ocean as well.
We don't belong up there.
We don't belong up there. We don't belong in there. Live on the ground where we're meant to be.
Up here's bad. Down here's bad. Here is okay.
Here there's average. A lot of bad, but we can survive it.
Yes, I can walk on the bad. Anyway, yeah. So there's like throughout the story of the first game, you find these like pods, these like emergency escape pods that have crashed in the water, and there are a few that have like audio logs attached to them. But I wanted to expand on one of the most fascinating ones that I saw, which was a pod that was busted from the inside out, not the outside in. And I wanted to kind of see if I could explore what it would be like in my very small space to kind of shoot a claustrophobic, stuck in a pod, like 1,000 meters below sea level.
Yeah.
What that would look like. So I'm trying to do that. So we'll see how successful I am in it.
That's exciting.
Exciting. So I'm really keen for it.
I'll be well with it. Yeah.
Thank you. No, I'm keen.
And that's sort of something you're working on for, like, again, just to be like, when I've got the time to actually do it. Are you working just on your own on this thing? You'd be writing it, filming it, directing it,
pretty much
costume, props.
I'm gonna see if maybe I can get my mate to help me film some
editing,
of it, 'cause I can't
sound.
watch my performance, and I'm doing the audio, she's doing the video,
holding the boom just off camera.
Just off. Well, yeah, because my thought is I need to make a little like a small space that's not going to have a lot of echoing happening. So I've got to build a little pod essentially in my living room. Yeah. So I'm going to try and get my friends to help me make that. But yeah, mostly it's as much a test of like my own ability to surprise myself as it is What can we feasibly get away with doing solo?
Have you seen Buried? It's Ryan Reynolds.
No, I don't think I have.
Ryan Reynolds. Is it Ryan Reynolds? Or is it the other
Ryan Gosling?
Gosling? I think it's Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it's a Ryan Reynolds one. It's from 2010, I want to say. It's a movie where he is buried alive. And the entire 90-minute movie is inside the coffin.
Jeez.
And it's like such good storytelling that you can restrict an entire movie to inside the coffin with him and still tell like a really compelling story. And
very much so. Like that is. I'm gonna look that up after this. I'm like
really good.
I gotta see this.
And in order to shoot it, I think they had 14 different types of coffin that they could shoot it from. So some that were just the outside edges without the top, so that they could shoot down. Some that were just everything without the side, so that they could shoot him from this angle. Some that were so that they could get in and shoot him from the feet, and then one of them for like a visual effect to sort of get that claustrophobic feeling. They had it like just like a huge well, but in the shape of a coffin, so that they could like zoom back upwards through the thing, and it just leaves him at the bottom of this huge coffin well, essentially, and it leaves him, and eventually he just goes dark at the bottom of it, and there's all sorts of really good visual effects to still keep it visually interesting while you're in a coffin. But I love movies like that give themselves that restriction, like Phone Booth as well. Do you ever watch Phone Booth?
Yes, that I have seen. Yes.
Yeah, the restriction of just almost the whole thing without the sort of top and tail of it takes place inside of a phone booth.
It's such a massive test of writing, acting,
to give yourself
editing.
that restriction. Yeah.
It
just reminded me of it when you were saying like to film a shot inside of a pod thousands of leagues under the sea.
Yeah, I have this thing where I don't really plan. I scramble. So I will at some point, my brain will tell me it's now time to scramble, and I will get to building that thing. But
and
until
we
then,
are now hyper-focused. Let's go.
Shit.
Now it's on. We've got to do this today for some reason.
I've got to build a pod. We're going to Bunnings.
We've got today to get it. Go to Bunnings. Get a sausage on the way.
You joke, that's literally sometimes what it feels like. I'll wake up one day and be like, okay, now we have to do this, and we do nothing else but this until this is done. No eat, no drink, only think. We must move. Let's go. Your life depends on it.
Oh yes, for sure. So other than that, what else is in the future of G?
I mean, yeah, with that, hopefully that'll take up most of my holidays. So I'll have a little bit of time. I hope to do some relaxing, but otherwise I'm very happy to keep working on that. Back to work next year, another season of Good Game, which would be good.
How long does that take to shoot? Like, what's the seasons look like?
So we usually do about between 40 and 42 episodes. So we usually film a week in advance for each one. So quite quick turnaround.
Right.
But there'll be a new season of that next year, along with some other little projects that I'm working on with them. And then I'm trying to do more school visits and trying to talk to more schools. And I'm really quite passionate about online safety at the moment, given the digital age we are hurtling through. So doing more talks in schools, I think would be really, really fun and enjoyable to do. Trying to get more voice acting. I got my first landed my first role in an animated series that's coming out in the ABC hopefully soon, which is really fun. And trying to get a bit more of that. Trying to get a bit more of that experience under my belt. So I've loved to get into voice acting. It's one of those things I've always found so fascinating and so cool. And such a test of like your ability to create something without the use of your facial expressions, especially someone like me who conveys so much with their hands and their face. Yeah. It's such a cool test.
Yeah.
But kind of all over the shop.
To have things that sound like you're out of breath or running or straining when you're actually technically you've got to stay here from the microphone, and you've got to make it sound like you're running. Are you falling? There's all sorts of techniques
in your pajamas.
It's always
in your comfiest clothing.
It's always fun. It's always really fun for me to watch like behind the scenes footage of voice actors, of people doing voiceovers for like famous animated movies or something. How they shot this scene in Toy Story or something, and watching the actors.
You've really got to put aside, like any sense of ego or any sense of like I'm too cool for this, because you look like a bloody idiot the whole time, and
like properly emoting because it helps with the voice to actually get your body physically into it as well, and so but you're always like making sure that you're pointing at the microphone. Stay in the same
Do
distance
a,
away. Running
I
on the spot.
Trying to wear yourself out.
Yeah.
I got given a script for a witch kind of ghost character that had to be quite malicious and quite aggressive. And the faces I pulled to try and get the sneer just right as you're talking.
Listening back and being like, she's not quite right. What else do I need to do to get the voice quite right?
Why does the mouth have to move? Where's the tongue sitting? Get it out. Yeah, how badly can I wreck my throat doing this before it becomes a problem? Yeah, just you look like a bloody fool, and it's half the fun.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you though, man?
What future stuff? What am I working on?
The man who never stops moving.
What am I working on at the moment? So I've got my Twitch Tales series, which is my interactive D&D game, where I run that on a Sunday. That'll be starting again in the new year. The next act of that campaign is they're going into a war zone with some demons, essentially. So that's going to be a pretty big, and very dangerous arc of the campaign. But that's me as the dungeon master, and then everyone in the chat hive mind controls the actions of one character, and so that's a fun ongoing series.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
What else do? I do my short rest series where I'm chatting with people, and it used to be once every 2 weeks, and then I met so many people that I'm like, holy shit, I'm not getting through people at a rate. I'm meeting more people than I'm getting through, so I moved it to once a week. Pretty much every weekend I do the short rests. I do the Viva la Dirt League stuff, where I'm a DM for them, and then every week an episode of that comes out, a half-hour episode, and so I do a watch party where I watch through that and talk about any behind the scenes stuff that's happening. I'm working on a YouTube short series called Baldur's Gate versus D&D, where I just highlight a single difference between the game, and I'm like, hey, if you're coming to D&D, because I realized so many people will be arriving at D&D from Baldur's Gate now.
Very much so.
And they'll be like, oh, I want to play D&D, and so my entire series there is like saying, if you want to try D&D and you're new to it, just keep in mind that in the video game this is how it works, and in the tabletop game this is how it works.
Yep. Here's some differences.
Yeah, here's some differences, and that's going really well. People are enjoying those series.
Sick.
I've got a YouTube series that I'm going to be making at some point soon, hopefully, where I'm just explaining how skill checks work in D&D, because something that a lot of people get confused about is like when you can swap a stat from the usually related skill. Yeah. So like if you're asked for a persuasion check, it's usually a charisma-based persuasion check. But you could be asked for a strength-based persuasion check, or a what does it look like to make a constitution-based acrobatics check, or an intelligence-based deception check, or whatever. And
like
so I'll do
how much wheezing are you doing in this check? in this constitution check.
Exactly. So it's like I'm going to do a series of shots where I just outline each of those and be like, what would and then I'll roll a randomized version of it and be like, what does a dexterity based intimidation check look like, and then I'll talk about that.
Do a lot of this.
just I think one of those what do they do with the swish the butterfly knife or like the nunchucks. That's very much a deception based, a dexterity based intimidation, because nunchucks. I think
more people should be getting into conversations with nunchucks. I think more people should be doing that. Just throwing them around.
Flicking things. The knife fingers game. I was just about to say, Matt. Yeah. As you're talking to somebody. That's
okay. Real story on that. I watched the first time I ever saw the knife game was on Alien. The first Alien movie. Well, I tried that after watching that movie. No. What I learned is my dexterity not nearly good enough for a game like that. That sharp.
Oh no!
Very stupid.
Jesus Christ.
So in real life, I did that role and I failed spectacularly. First example of botching your dexterity-based intimidation check.
Oh, that's nasty. I heard a maybe apocryphal story about that scene in Alien. The guy whose hand they like grab and pull in to do it with didn't know that was going to be the case, and so his reluctance is real.
Jeez, man, method acting. Y'all are wild. Y'all are psycho.
Wild. What else am I working on? I'm working on a Kickstarter for next year. We're going to be doing just an adventure module, just a real simple thing set in my world so that I can highlight a bit of my world and most importantly, just understand how the Kickstarter process works. Eventually, I'll most likely make a world setting. Like I'll actually publish my whole homebrew world and everything in it. But that's going to be an enormous project for way down the line. And so I want to at least know how crowdfunding works before that, and how publishing works and stuff. So we're just doing a mini module to just kind of get a feel for that at some point next year. And then the last thing is just a shit ton of travel. Just all of the travel. I'm going to be traveling everywhere.
Oh, honey, no.
Yeah, I'm going to Australia for Christmas. Then I'm going to Canada in March. And then from there, I'm going to GaryCon. I'm going to have a notable industry badge at GaryCon this year, which is pretty exciting, and it's for the 50th anniversary of D&D as well, so it's going to be a big one.
Oh, fantastic!
And then I come back to New Zealand for a short amount of time for my birthday. I'm doing a big event for my 35th in April, where I'm going to get a whole bunch of my friends together, and we're going to test our statistics in real life. We're going to on the Monday of that week, we're going to make a whole week of it. On the Monday, we're going to test all things strength related and work out what your real life strength would be. And then on Tuesday, dexterity, Wednesday, constitution, and so on. And by the end of the week, you've got all of your stats.
Hell yeah, that's so cool.
It's going to be a big event. And then...
Oh, heck yeah.
Then I'm going to Gen Con in August, and I'm going to be traveling around the States throughout August, and then I go to the UK in September because my brother's getting married, and then from there I'm going to Germany and spending a little time doing some Germany stuffs, and then coming back to New Zealand. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Come here. Just come here. Just come here. In between that, Rob, I noticed you hadn't penciled in time to just little things.
Oh yeah, you noticed I hadn't talked about Viva la Dirt League, because in that time as well, I'm starting a second campaign with Viva la Dirt League, an all ladies campaign. We're going to be doing supplemental content for the Viva la Dirt League D&D channel as well, where we're doing some D&D tips and tricks and stuff that I'm going to be releasing with them. Is there anything else that I'm forgetting?
Yes, eating and sleeping, you freak.
Yeah. I'll be doing some like video game streams, I'm sure.
That's not what
probably do so.
Rob, look at me. I get it.
Yeah.
The love of God, please. Sleep.
I'll be at some point trying to get an ADHD assessment as well.
Gee, really?
Gee.
What
do you think?
It's shocking. Oh, you hide it so well.
The fucking mental health situation in New Zealand is the worst. We're one of the worst countries in the world for it. It's terrible. So I went to
nightmare.
The process, I went to my GP to get a referral, because you need the GP's referral for it. Even though the GP, for the referral, it's not like they'll ever turn you down. You go to the GP, you say, I want an ADHD, and they go,
yeah,
all right, here's your referral. So it's really just to tick the box, add an extra step to the process for no reason.
Bit more money, just for fun.
Contacted a bunch of psychiatrists saying like, hey, here's my referral, and I'd like an assessment. One of them got back saying we don't have any bookings slots open until January 2025.
Oh god, fun.
One of them said, we don't do ADHD assessments. Why were you on the doctor's referral list then?
Fucking okay. Off the book.
And another one got back to me saying, we don't have any slots up until August 2024, but you also need to have a pre-ADHD assessment by a psychologist. So I need to go to a doctor for a referral to a psychologist, so that the psychologist will give me a pre-assessment so that then I can take that to the psychiatrist. And then I can maybe get
the lady ate the cat, who ate the spider, who ate the fly, who ate the dog, who ate the horse. I know this story, yeah.
Yeah. And each step of the process is costing you money, and that's just to get somebody to say, yes, I think you have it, or no, I don't think you have it. And then you can start your process of like working out if meds are right for you and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Bob, that is. I'm so sorry. It's such a. The fact that we put the system is intentionally designed incorrectly and impractically.
It's just extra ironic that that's the process for getting diagnosed with a thing that particularly affects your ability to do that sort of shit.
Yeah. Fixation, hyperfocus, losing interest. Oh, good. Let's make it an 18-step process.
Yeah. That takes 3 years.
Bang. Oh my god. Yeah. No. Jeez Louise, dude. He's going through it. He's in the wars.
That's fun.
Yeah. That's pretty fun. Yeah.
So that's my next year. Oh
my God.
So let's open it up to the chat for questions, everybody.
Hello.
If you want to ask any questions, make sure to redeem it with channel points. It only costs you 50 channel points, which by now you should have, because you earn them at a relatively high rate while watching streams. So yeah, ask the D&D question. That way it goes into the redemptions queue, and I don't miss the question. In the meantime, let me open up.
That's such a good idea. Oh man!
Just because I spend so much time chatting with awesome, charismatic guests, and I forget to pay attention to the chat. All right, so we had a question come in from the Fancy Unicorn.
Sick name.
Saying, do you have people helping you? And if not, do you have a plan to? At a future point, what would your business look like?
Helping me in terms of my
in terms
filming?
of like the GeeOfDee brand, I
Oh,
guess.
right.
Is there like a GeeOfDee
No.
team, or is there people helping you with your business plans and what you want to achieve?
In terms of business plans, not really. I'm looking to get management next year, just because that's one thing that's kind of like I feel I need taken off my plate. Someone else looking for stuff for me.
Yeah, right.
But in terms of like,
you don't have an acting agent for voice acting?
No.
Work? Oh, interesting.
No, I've been doing everything kind of just I find things solo.
Yeah.
But it would be very beneficial to have someone else doing that who has the contacts I do not have.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of like Twitch stuff, I have my group of moderators, whom I adore. Haven't been streaming a lot lately because I just haven't had the time. But I do want to highlight two of my mods, Ash Makes Props and Kit Carnage, who are just wonderful, amazing people who have kept my channel safe and entertaining. So yeah, they're helping me a lot on that side of things. But
Shout out to the mods.
Yeah.
You're awesome,
Mods
and we
keep
couldn't
us
do it
safe.
without you. Thank you very much, mod team.
We love you.
We really do appreciate you.
But yeah, apart from that, it's just me. Just kind of rolling and seeing what happens.
Nice. Would you want the GeeOfDee to like become like a business at some point? Is there like do you plan to have a team at some point other than manager and agent? I guess?
mean, it would be nice, I think, to work alongside someone. Someone who like an editor would be fantastic. So to help me learn how to do my own stuff, but also just to kind of have that. 'Cause I feel like I produce a lot of stuff that just kind of sits in a folder somewhere for when I eventually get to it, and when Premiere decides to not be the worst to me. Yeah, I think having that could be great, but I don't have any immediate plans. I think I'd need a more concrete kind of strategy for my own stuff before I started getting other people involved in my mess.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Joe Baby asks, if you're marooned on an island and can only take one TTRPG system with you, what one would you absolutely have to take? I mean, it would have to be a solo TTRPG system, wouldn't it? Because you've marooned me on an island. Yeah. So there's no point me saying D&D and then having no one to play with.
I feel like Call of Cthulhu could work because I'd just drive myself insane. play with the imaginary friends I'd have to
Wilson!
create to make this. Wilson! Cthulhu! There is oh man, I don't know if I can play Sarah is Missing by myself, but there's a cool game I picked up the other day. I think it's called Sarah's Missing.
Alice. Alice is Missing.
Alice is Missing. That's it. Alice. Yeah. Sarah's Missing is a video game. Alice is Missing. That I'm trying to get one of my. You kind of need another person to play it with. But I feel like you could maybe do it yourself and surprise yourself on it.
I think that's possibly the worst option for doing it on an island, because the whole premise of Alice is Missing is like it takes place using technology. Like you don't talk at the table. You like text each other, and you've got like group chats and stuff. So you've taken the one TTRPG that not only needs other players, but needs a fully charged like phone in order to play it, and you're like
fully charged phone that I'm not going to use for help. I won't use it for help. I'll use it to play Alice's.
Oh damn! I'm down to 5% battery. Do I call for help, or do I play Alice is Missing with myself?
I feel like barring the one thing that requires me to use technology, maybe. I actually don't know. I feel like a lot of the stuff I play really needs another person, but. Assuming that I go crazy enough that I can just kind of exist in my own little make-believe world, I could do with some Eldritch horror. I could make Call of Cthulhu work single-handedly.
Let's modify Joe Baby's question and say if you're marooned on an island with one TTRPG system and 4 or 5 other people to play with.
Call of Cthulhu, then you can reenact the madness on each other.
Yeah,
there you go. You can make yourself make a real-life Call of Cthulhu situation.
Because enacting madness every day is definitely going to help to stave off the real life madness of being marooned on an island.
Hey, I think so. You got to make your own fun, don't you?
Welcome it in, right?
If I'm in control of it, it's not real madness, then, is it? That's how that works, right?
Sure. If you know you're mad, then you're not mad, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's how that works. Totally.
Mythical asks, I'm seeing an Omniblade and a Thane statue in the back,
yes.
and I'm ridiculously excited about it since the beginning of the stream.
My babies. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, the back of my shelf is basically a Mass Effect shrine. I've got the lithogram.
Yeah,
the big poster.
Mythical's full name is Mythical Tyrion, and I think that comes from Mass
Heck
Effect.
yeah. I found this at this is the prop Twitch, the prop. I found this, which is a replica of the Calfex pistol that Shepard uses. I found it at a garage sale. What a find.
I met Shepard, the voice actor for Shepard, at Gen Con, and played a game with him. Played a board
Mark?
game with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark. Real nice guy.
My friend, I don't know how this connection formed. My mate is in a semi-regular D&D game with Mark Meer and sent me a video for my birthday of Mark Meer saying happy birthday. And I was like, what? Excuse, what? I love, Mark Meer and Jennifer Hale are just so bloody talented. And oh my God, the game changed my life. I've got two, I can't show because I've got a thing. I've got two Mass Effect tattoos here and here. One of the Normandy and one of the N7 insignia. But no, it's my favorite game series.
So I'd say you're pretty big fan of Mass Effect, huh?
I'm a pretty big fan. I was in a community trailer for N7A 2 years ago, and it was a process of me just slowly losing my mind over the course of that month in the lead up to filming it, because it was just so much fun. But yes, thank you for noticing. I do love my shrine.
So for someone who's never played any Mass Effect, where would I start?
Oh. Well, okay, here's the thing with Mass Effect.
Here we go.
Have to go.
Has everybody got another 2 hours?
You have to go through. The first game is not the best, but it does set up the rest of the series. You can start at 2 if you want, and it does give you the option to have some pre-programmed decisions that you made in the first game carry over.
Yeah, because I have heard. Yeah. I have heard about Mass Effect is that it's a game where your decisions matter, but not only within the game. Your choices in the first game also affect your choices who you are in the second, right?
Yes. So your choices do carry over. Some matter more than others. But yeah, I'd say get the Legendary Edition because that's the remaster version. But yeah, the first game isn't the best, but just sit through it. I promise it gets better. I promise 2 and 3 are so good.
You always hear that about certain series where people are like, they're raving about it, and they're like, it's the best thing in the world. You definitely need to watch this series, blah blah blah. And then you sit down and you start watching it, and you text them like, when does it get good? Oh, well, you have to get through the first two seasons. It's like, I'm not sitting through 2 seasons of some shit to get to something that's good. Oh, but
swear, 30 episodes. I promise it gets really good after that. Get past all the filler. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would highly recommend it. It's my favorite series. Absolutely changed my life, and I can confidently say put me on the path I am on today. Because of that
if somebody wants to buy me it on Steam, it'll get added to the list of games that I'll eventually get around to.
Yeah.
Matt asks, what's one of the coolest unexpected uses of a mundane item that you've either used or have seen used in gameplay? For example, a cloak of fashion to look like a map. In one of my Twitch games, they used Cloak of Fashion, which is a cloak that you can make it look like whatever you want to look like. And they came across a war room, like an old abandoned war room that had a map of the area, and so they took their Cloak of Fashion off and just made it look like the map of the area, so that they've got it always. Very clever.
It's so cool. Oh my god.
And it's a common item. It's a relative. It's just like it's meant to just be uncommon maybe. And it's just like you give it to your players, and then suddenly they go, "Oh shit! I didn't expect them to use it in that way."
I actually don't know how to answer this one. I feel like we may have used... I feel like in one of the games we had a constantly replenishing cup of water, I think had become a thing, but we turned it into beer. I think that was something we used for like a party episode where it was just like a constantly replenishing jug of beer. I remember the item it was that we used.
Yeah, that vaguely reminded me of something that somebody did once, where it was it's a decanter of endless water, and if you pop the top off, it can shoot a geyser forth, and it's just endless. And I think somebody in one of my games, or one of the games I watched, maybe that had a cleric bless the water, so it was holy water, and then they had a constant stream of holy water that they could just anytime they came across undead or vampires or something, they were just No,
It's so
easy.
good.
Very clever.
Oh my god, I'm so stealing that. That's oh hell yeah, that's great.
I also seem to recall there was a use of the cloak of billowing. Have you ever come across that one before? It's a common item that
So,
the only purpose is it just like you give it a bonus action command and it goes
cool.
and
Your
it looks
one
cool.
job is to look cool.
Yeah, its entire job is to look cool. And I think
Oh, I
had
love
somebody a
that.
while back use it to deceive somebody into thinking they were walking on a windy path, so that they would when they walked out of the door they would already be like bracing against the wind, which wasn't there, and then that meant they were off balance, so that they were easier to push off the side of something. I can't, but yeah,
Right.
it was a very clever like couple of step process
Yeah.
of like, I'm going to use my cloak of billowing to make. I walk out the door and I subtly give the command, so it's like whoa, and then I think somebody else used a minor illusion to make the sound of wind, and they're like, oh god, it's windy out here, it's so windy, and they're like bracing against it, and the cloak is billowing,
Oh
and then
man.
the other person like comes out to like help them, but then they use the momentum against them or something. I can't remember exactly.
That's sick. No,
I
I
love
mean,
creative. I love creative choices, creative uses of things, and it's kind of
it's
one of the reasons that I love D&D more than anything else. Like you can
yeah.
do all the programming you like in a video game, and you can get something as
Mm.
good as D&D, good as Baldur's Gate and beyond. But you're still going to have limitations of it being a game. Whereas in
Oh,
D&D, it's
absolutely.
like
Yeah.
anything you want, anything you can describe, anything that creatively as a group you can collectively come up with at the table. You can
I
make it
think something
happen.
that I've really enjoyed through playing, more D&D with mates now is that I am learning to experiment more and
Mm.
learning kind of to make those little mistakes, but also
Yeah,
experiment with options rather than like default into like, okay, I know my spells, I know my attacks, that's
yeah,
all I'm going to be doing. Like being able to, and Baldur's Gate has been kind of instrumental in teaching me that as well, because I'm finding new ways to like cheese the system a bit,
yeah,
that are both really fun and rewarding, and I'm not punished for it. So
yeah,
may as well see how many
yeah. May
books
as
I can
well.
stack and then dive bomb into somebody as an owlbear. Let's see what happens. Who knows?
100%. Why not? You find those things that are. Do you know Rackham, GM Workshop? Have you come across his path before?
I'm not
Canadian
sure.
streamer. I played Dragonlance with him on a weekend, and he's playing a hell of a lot of Baldur's Gate, and he's making Baldur's
Yeah.
Gate content for YouTube and stuff. And a lot of his stuff, I can't even watch it when it comes up on my feed. I'm like, nope, because it's all spoiler stuff, late game
Spoilers,
stuff, and
spoilers.
he's like telling people on his YouTube shorts like. The crazy builds, like at some point there's like a final end boss that's got like 700 health or something, and he
Jesus
has
Christ.
worked out through usage of equipping certain items that give you buffs to damage when you do force damage, and he's got
Yeah.
another thing that increases doubles the damage when you hit with a blah blah blah, and then he can cast just a simple magic missile, which is a spell that can't miss, and then
Yeah.
it casts it at the highest level possible, which makes like 9 darts of force or something, and for
Yeah.
every one that hits it does a d4 plus like 200, doesn't it? It's like,
Oh my
he's worked out a way that like a single spell can nerf the bad guy because of all of these things. He's
Yeah.
properly like min-maxing, optimizing all of the different builds that you can make in Baldur's Gate.
I find that like that level of detail and a level of experimentation that it takes to get to that so friggin' cool. There's a girl I follow on TikTok, a creator, who has basically made it her mission now to try and kill all the big bosses in one turn.
Right.
And
Yeah.
she's doing really well at it. She took on this giant in the Grimforge. There's a I don't know if you up to that part yet in the Grimforge?
I'm barely into Act 2.
Ah, okay. There's a boss in the Grimforge who is particularly tricky, at least was for me anyway. And she managed to get us through like for like everything she had. She managed to like equip some items and was using the right elithid powers that like made
Right.
almost every other shot be a crit.
Right.
And she managed to stack her shots just right and took it out in one go, and it was like her
Nice.
process, like talking it through. I was like, "This is genius. I'm
Yeah.
never gonna do this, but that's genius that you're doing it."
I'm not so good at that in video games. I'm very good at that in tabletop roleplay. Like people like in Rackham's game in the Dragonlance one. I'm playing a transmutation wizard, and you can use something called minor alchemy to change one substance into another, and it gives you a list of like you can change wood into stone or into iron or copper or whatever. Any one of those ingredients you can make it into other things. So I got I worked out how long, because it tells you how long it takes to transmute how much of this material. I did the maths on that and worked out like what's the maximum volume of stuff that I can transmute then. and I got
Yep.
a spherical ball of that exact amount of iron, just solid iron, slag iron from a blacksmith. And then I used my minor alchemy to turn it into balsa wood, like a super light wood. And then I put it in a catapult, and then because it was super light, it got all of this force, all of this momentum, all of this inertia. And then I turned it off, and suddenly that same ball of balsa wood with all of that force and inertia suddenly becomes solid iron, and so suddenly has a lot more kinetic energy in it, and blah blah blah. And then it slams into the ground, and I worked out like did the physics on it because I'm a physics nerd and I've got a maths degree, and I worked out like how much force it impacts upon landing, and it was the equivalent of 32 kilograms of TNT. And then I worked out how much of an explosion that would be, and I told Rackham, and he's like,
well then, all right.
Yeah, I guess the four guards that were watching over the town are dead, and also the cliff that they were standing on is destroyed as well, and
you've seen firsthand what atomization does. You've invented atomization.
Love that shit.
That's so good.
All right, a few more questions. Let's try and get through them before you got to run away. Fancy says, Fancy does my editing for my short rest sound bites and things.
Okay, man.
So Fancy says, can I have a short rest sound bite, please? So somewhere between 20 seconds and a minute of just something. It can be whatever you would like, but she also gives you a recommendation if you can't think of something.
Ooh, I feel like the running joke is it's a doppelganger.
It's a doppelganger. Fancy says, what would you recommend for people who have played a lot of Baldur's Gate and want to get into D&D proper?
Ooh, I mean, as someone who is kind of learning about both through each other, I'm not sure I'm the best to kind of like give qualified advice. I think not going into D&D with the expectation that it is Baldur's Gate is one thing. As Rob has pointed out, there are like several differences. But I think if you want to kind of start somewhere with familiarity, take the stats that the characters that we've kind of gone through, like the origin characters like Astarion, Karlach, Lae'zel. I've seen people weaving them into their own kind of like very base, like ground up kind of base work games.
Right, yeah.
As a way to kind of like teach what each thing means, kind of like when you can't see what it is you're doing, using theater of the mind is a good way to kind of like have those physical elements handy. So you can kind of reflect on that and kind of look back and be like, okay, that's how that works, that's how this works, without having to visually see it. But I think they're starting, make little fan fictions, make like little mini adventures with these characters that you love to kind of get you familiar with how these mechanics work. Using 5e handbook could even be a good way to start that. Like build a base game out of these characters and their adventures could be a good way to kind of like just get you on the right foot. That's what I would do anyway.
Very good. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Cute. It'd be fun.
Fancy also asks, since you mentioned that online safety is super important to you,
yes.
What 3 things would you want people to keep in mind when they're online?
Okay. 1, 2-factor authentication. Use it, please. It is your friend. Use it. Do not, if you have kids or, under 18, even, actually, it applies to everybody, but especially kids. Do not post videos in school uniforms, on school grounds, obvious landmarks. Oh, yeah, the third thing, yeah. Do not post in your house obvious landmarks around. Like if you're like shooting TikToks or whatever out windows, it is far too easy for people to landmark that. Oh, 4th thing, never post where you are at any given time. Like don't be like, oh, I'm at this place, with obvious landmarks people can trace. Trust me, just don't do it. Post afterwards when you've left. It's just people don't need to know where you are every second of the day online. And it's very, very helpful that they don't know that. Because there are people out there who will use that information to their advantage, and I've seen it happen firsthand, and it's very scary. But yeah, just you never know who's seeing your stuff. Don't be paranoid, but just be aware.
I think the existence of the GeoGuessr guy has helped with that a lot. Like when you see some of his footage, there was one that I saw just yesterday, or even this morning, maybe I can't remember. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was an hour ago.
Many moons ago.
I saw one of the GeoGuessr guy. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He had a single picture of it was just the side of a tree, and some guy was poking out of the tree doing this. It was like a meme or something, and there was something slightly like some other woods that was slightly blurred in the background. That's literally all you could see: a portion of a tree and some blurry woods, and the guy who was rubbing his hands, and somebody was like, "Bet you can't find this tree." And the geoguessr guy went, I can find anything. And he found out who had taken the photograph and found out where that guy was located, like who the photographer was and where he was situated. And he was like, okay, so I've got my region to start in. He found other photos that he'd taken that were similar, so he was like with the same guy in him. And he was like, okay, so I know the guys that he was the person he was using on the day. So these other photos must have been taken on the same day. So he finds, and then in the background of those ones, he finds certain trees that are just like designed, and he starts zooming in on. I think he identified a flower in the foreground of one of those photos, and then looked up certain national parks that where that flower grows. And then he isolated different national parks, and then he just went down onto like Google Street View or whatever, and managed to find certain trees in the background that were like, that's a similar thing. And then and then from that he found this, and then eventually he found the exact tree that the guy was hiding behind.
It's not as hard as you think to find people online, and that's terrifying. So just
incredible.
Be safe.
So it's possible, and do it.
Do it.
Also, my suggestion is just be a guy, because I don't have to worry about all that stuff as much as you guys do. So that helps.
Oh, that was another thing. There are some. It's not always, but sometimes when you take a photo, specifically on an iPhone, sometimes it will automatically geotag it.
Yeah.
And if you send that photo to someone else, they can go through the metadata and see where it was taken. Take a screenshot of it first, then send it off, because then it gets rid of the metadata on that. There you go. That's another fun little tip.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, welcome to the 21st century's wild, man. This shit's crazy.
Just be a cis guy on the internet, and then you don't have to worry about it as much. No.
Just remember these immortal words. Whoops, it's a doppelganger.
I have a last question here from Herr Lenky Benky, that says, what are some tips to fall asleep if you can't fall asleep?
Oh, you're talking to a borderline insomniac.
It's a very unrelated question, but hey, you got any tips?
This sounds so stupid. Again, I'm playing into the fact that I'm obsessed with Baldur's Gate. I've been listening to Baldur's Gate ambient tracks.
Nice.
So it sounds like I'm in the camp, and that has been beneficial to at least calming me down enough to go to sleep.
So you're like, okay, it's time for long rest. Time for long rest. We're in the
I'm
camp.
like, okay, who's going to try and stab me tonight? Let's find out. Okay, here we go. What piece of tragic character background am I going to get today? But in terms of going to sleep, I am not the person to talk to. I sleep maybe 4 hours a night.
Oh, Jesus.
These days.
That's not healthy at all.
It's not, man.
I don't have problem falling asleep when I go to sleep. My problem is going to bed.
You don't go to sleep. Yes.
It's just my problem is going, oh fuck, it's midnight. I should probably go to bed. And then by the time I actually do all of my ablutions and stuff, and I'm like, oh, now it's 1:30.
Well, may as well just stay up then.
May as well scroll for a bit aimlessly, even though I should probably sleep. As soon as I put my phone down and I'm like, right, let's go to sleep, I'm asleep. Like it. Can't give you tips on that, I'm afraid.
Jealous. Mate.
Probably because I'm constantly exhausted.
Really? You think? Fascinating, Rob.
Well, I don't know why. I never. It's a mystery. I don't know why I'm constantly exhausted.
Is it the consequences of my own actions?
Can't be. I'll never accept responsibility.
Illegal.
All right, so we are out of time, unfortunately. I'm sure we could talk for a hell of a lot longer if we had time for it. You know we could. Let's just talk about Baldur's Gate, just real quick. Just a little bit more. Just one more thing about Baldur's Gate. If you actually, let's wrap out the short rest. We've had a short rest in our camp. We've got to get back to the not Underdark now.
Excellent.
We've got to get back to the quest. We've regained half of our hit points, even though that's not how short rests work in D&D.
This is the grumbling as we're leaving the camp.
Yeah, grumbly.
That's not how this works.
As we're getting back to our quest, where can people find you, G?
You can find me at GeeOfDee on Twitch. That's 3 E's on either side. My socials are all linked there. I'm GeeOfDee everywhere online. Just a variation on how many E's there are. You can also catch me, if you're in Australia, on ABC Me right now, actually. I believe the show is airing. So you can jump on
How are you doing that?
Talking about video games.
Magic.
Like magic.
Wonderful. And if you are here from GeeOfDee's fandom community, whatever, I'm Robert Hartley, GM. You can find me all over the internet at Robert Hartley GM. I'm also the Dungeon Master for a comedy group called Viva la Dirt League, and you can find me, my actual player, over there. Is there anyone online you'd like to raid?
Ooh, I haven't actually checked. I'll leave that in your capable hands, my friend.
Alrighty.
I picked up dice. I didn't realize I at some point had reached over.
At some point, I have dice now. I don't know when I picked them up or why, but I have dice.
I've managed to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I managed to pick up 7 dice in the time we've been talking.
Nice.
I don't know where they came from.
We are going to raid into one-shot questers, because I've noticed they're online, and I never see them online these days, so there we go.
Wonderful.
One-shot questers. You'll know them from YouTube Shorts, no doubt, when you pop in, so stick around for the raid. Check them out, and give them a follow. Tell them I sent you. And thank you very much for being here. Thank you for listening to the two of us yak away about all things D&D, Baldur's Gate, and voice acting. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Whoa, look at the names of all these cool people supporting me. If you want to see your name here, check out my Patreon. There's a lot of cool perks on there for you. You'll enjoy it.